What a do, Internet? This is your Graphics Rogue, and I'm back with another online battle. This time, I'm going to be facing off against Egypt as the mighty Roman Empire. My opponent he doesn't really have a name, he's just a bunch of dashes. His name is just a bunch of dashes, so let's call him Dashboard Man. That ought to be something worthwhile. Better than dashes. Maybe dashes is better, I don't know. Anyway, we got straight off the bat, we got an interesting map. Hilly, foresty. Get a nice look at the legions. The mighty legions! They just look so fucking fantastic. They look absolutely beautiful. I don't know if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but the graphics are the best part about this game. It is beautiful. It is just beautiful. I mean, look at those Lorica segmentatas. It's tasty. So I'm moving my legions up to the left side of this upcoming hill here. So I'm planning on it's a very foresty area around here. I'm planning on hiding them around. I don't want the enemy to see just what I have yet. He's going to be behind that hill. As far as I know right now. I don't know what his forces are. He doesn't know what my forces are. But sent some cav up to scout, and I already see he's got a few visible units coming up. I don't know how he's going to formate them. But I want to be very careful with a map like this. Because he can just sit up on the hill. He could be coming right at me. And I gotta be careful especially when I don't know what troopage he's got coming at me. I know he's got some Nubian archers and some thorax spearmen, but assuming what units he has, he's Egypt, so he's probably got some pikemen. I made a rule in the beginning of the match: no art and no elephants. I just wanted to do a simple match, and he agreed to it. But I'm just gonna spoiler it right now. He brought elephants. He brought 2 elephants. And, well, I was like, whatever, I just went with it. I'm not the greatest Total War Online player. Historically, I've lost most of my battles, so I was a little perturbed when I saw this kind of map, and I noticed all the hills and the forest. And I know there's just a million ways this guy can roll me up. But I've kept to my hints I've been trying to teach myself, and I've been keeping to the tips I've been hearing about on the net. And I last pretty well in this match, I will say. I don't want to spoiler it, but I think I do pretty damn good in this match than I've done in a lot of matches. You'll see on the far upper left side, I've hidden a cavalry unit up there. It's hidden for the moment from him. He knows that I threw them up there, but he doesn't know exactly where they are now because it's a long line of forests. But they should be in a relatively good position right now for a special attack later on. I'm moving my forces further up into that hilly forest land there. He still doesn't know exactly what I got. I still don't know exactly what he's got. But I'm moving up a little closer, and I'm starting to notice that he's putting his troops around that hill, and I think he's going to camp up there. Starting to think that at this point. And so I'm starting to move a couple of my troops he still doesn't see around that hill and into the forest area right there to make us another tasty surprise from my enemy. Moving up some Triarii and some Praetorian Guard. Now at this point I should say that this is a recording of a replay, and ever since Rome 2 came out, the replays were pretty much broken. You couldn't replay them accurately. It completely changed up the thing. But I've looked at this replay before, and I think it's pretty accurate. I think the replays may have been fixed in recent patches. So I'll point out things if I think they're different, or if I'm pretty sure they're the same. I'm pretty sure things are the same. If I see something I think is different, I'll point that out. Anyway, I'm starting to move up my archers and move up some infantry units. Not going to let them see everything I have yet, but I want to try to goad them goad him into coming down this hill at first. So I'm going to send my missile units up. I have an archer unit and 2 Balearic slingers. And I'm going to send up my Hastati. No, not my Hastati. A few different types of legionary cohorts. I'm going to try to goad him into coming down and fighting me a bit. That cavalry unit was seen, so I decided to move it at that point. Move it around the map and into the forests in the back there. At this point he sends in the elephants, and I notice, oh, okay, dude, he brought elephants. We agreed no elephants, whatever, it's cool. So he just slams my elephant at me. So I see them and I want to get a few nice barrages on him before he gets there. I guess, as you can see, the fire flames coming down, but he decides to charge at my guys. I don't have any javelins, but my arrows should do the job nicely, and they do. So I start to move back my missile units here, but their elephants are pretty fast, and they catch up to a few of my units. I should have pulled it back earlier, and I should have had my infantry closer, as well as a few spear units. But I got 2 of my missile units out of there pretty nice. And this happened in the game. My missile unit seems to be running, but they'll come back. So I send my legionary cohorts at them to try to attack some of these elephants. I should have sent some spearmen at them, but I sent some other swordsman units running at them, so they're going to throw their javelins at them, try to take out some of these big African elephants. See, they're running there, but they should be able to come back. And I've got my air missile units turned around, and they're starting to hit them hard. While my infantry units, they charged them and threw some javelins at them, killing a few of their elephants. Here's one mistake he made. He charged me with his elephants. He basically threw them away because he didn't back his elephants up with any cavalry or with any infantry. I'm sending up my general unit to bolster the morale of my troops down here while I'm fighting these elephants, and we've pretty much mopped them up at this point. But he didn't send down the troops, any troopage, to help aid him. I got my cavalry unit in the forest there hiding, and he just basically threw them away when they could have been very much help on the hill, or at a future skirmish, or at a future part of the battle. See my missile unit back there. They stopped running, and I got them coming back in, setting my missile units back up. And he sends a missile unit down here to try to take me out, or to try to hurt me in some way. He's trying to lure me up there, and that's a good strategy. He appears to be wanting to pepper me and lure me up there, but he's only sending 1 missile unit down. He's not backing them up with any infantry, and he's just peppering my guys, but I still got 3 units and 1 messed up missile unit, but still 3 units, and they're all gonna be concentrating on these Nubians, just hitting them in the skulls with rocks and arrows. And yeah, we've already slaughtered a good bit of them, and it's just going to continue once my missile units really start concentrating fire on these guys. Yeah, they've lost a lot of brethren so far. They should have backed them up with troops, or they should have sent more missile units. At this point, I'm not sure. I know I'm doing good against his missile units, but I'm still not sure how many missile units he has. I see a few up there. But I send my general unit out there to wipe up these missile units here, because he didn't send anything to back them up. And I knew I could get my cavalry unit over here. That was the only cavalry unit I had close by at the time. So I sent my general unit to wipe up these archers, and so I did. Only now does he send some spear units down to reinforce them, but I get my general unit out of there pretty quickly. So a few of my units get caught up, as you can see, but he starts to retreat back onto the hill, and I got my general out of there relatively unscathed. He's starting to go back up the hill, trying to reposition his men, while I'm moving my missile units up, because I want to get some more shots on his. I can see he's got 2 missile units now, but I'm not sure of all the units he has left. He has a lot of units left because we haven't seen very many. And apparently they're probably on that hill. They're probably hidden on the hill, hidden in the forest. So I'm just moving my guys up. He's got his guys around the hill in a defensive position. He's waiting for me to come at him. He's not coming at me. He's waiting for me to come at him. So I got my the rest of my cavalry here in the woods ready to set up for an ambush. I got my cavalry over on that side of the woods. He's starting to send some of his troops on his left side of the hill, waiting for an engagement from those cavalry. And he probably assumes I have some troops in that foresty part of the hill right there, and he's right, just waiting to hit him. But he's not completely sure what I have coming from that part of the hill. He's not sure what I got. I'm not sure what he's got. So I'm starting to move up more troops on both of my flanks. I'm gonna speed it up in a few little parts, like here, just because this is a pretty long match, and there's a lot of cat and mouse chess playing, and I just want to see if I can shave a minute or two off. So I'm starting to focus a little bit more fire on some more of his archers. He sent some more up to try to take me on, but he's got a couple archers back here just sitting around doing nothing, watching their boys up there up front and getting slaughtered by my concentration, when he should be sending out his more of his archers to face me. And it's at this point I think he has a lot of archers. He must have brought a few more archers than usual, because I can see a lot up there, and I know I've destroyed like 1 or 2 units already. I can't quite remember. I'm destroying this unit. This one's done, but he's still got more, and I'm moving my cav around to try to mess with his mind over there, to try to confuse him a little bit. I've got these Nubian archers running for their lives. We've got these pikemen. Some of them aren't even in pike formation, just standing on the hill waiting for me to attack. I'm sending my cavalry up there to try to smash his archers from behind, but he sends his cavalry to try to fend me off, which I see, and I don't fall into that trap. I pull my guys back, which then he pulls his guys back to put them back into position. He's got a strong Ptolemaic cavalry contingent on his general's unit, which is a pretty good unit. I still got a lot of infantry hidden in the forest over here. I've got infantry hidden on my left and my right. Got moving up some of my legionary cohorts up there to try to get them into position for the attack, because I know at this point he's not coming down to attack me, so I'm going to start to move my cohorts into position that I think is efficient enough to try to attack him uphill. He's moving down another one of his archer units to try to mess with me, and again he's not sending it down backed up by anything, but he retreats them quick enough. I send my general unit out there to try to hack at him, but he retreats them quick enough that I don't get there in time, and I only take like 2 or 3 of his men out before I have to turn around, because I see the sharpness of his pikes right there. He was ready to smash me in the face with those pikes, but I turned him around pretty quickly. I'm not sure if I lost any cavalry there. I might have. He has his Nubian archers there ready to strike me, but they only get a few shots off. I'm not sure if I lose anybody on the retreat, but I retreat. My general remains unscathed. Sending my infantry around, starting to look at a better version of the hill, so it's not quite an uphill climb as the other facement. I'm sending my missile units up to try to take out more of his missile units, and so he obliges. He sends down another one of his missile units, again not backed up by any of his other missile units, which, if he had that many missile units to begin with, I'm not sure how many he has at this point, but he seems to have a lot. He could have sent them down there and just destroyed my 3 missile units, and then that would have halted me. But he sent them down there, and he's attacking more of my guys. But my Balearic slingers are just sitting there helping their Syrian brethren and knocking out another one of their missile units. As you see here, I'm starting to move around some more of my infantry units along my right flank to try to position myself all around this hill. I want to get my positions all around certain key parts of this hill, but I'm planning on moving those infantry units around the left there, and these units over here, they're going to be my secret weapon. They're going to be my ambush. So when they're preoccupied in different parts of the hill, I'm going to move those two units, my Praetorian Guard and my Triarii, up and try to intervene in a hole in his line to try to get inside a defensive circle. And so as my enemy sees the encirclement of the hill, I'm sure terrible fear is striking him. Terrible, crippling fear is striking the hearts of all his men, as he knows the battle will soon be brought to him. But he does have the defensive position, and he does have a lot of pikemen. Unfortunately, some of these pikemen don't seem to be in pike formation. Oh, look at that guy. Now he is ready for blood. He is a badass. And some of the defensive men, the Galatian swordsmen, they're not pikemen. They're going to be a little bit easier to hit face on. But they're readying their defenses, waiting for the attack. But I am still getting my guys into position. I've hidden my cavalry units. So sometimes you just gotta hope the enemy forgets where exactly you put those hidden units, if they do forget. Sometimes they do forget. I forget sometimes that somebody hid a unit in a certain part of the woods. And at this point I'm starting to move up my mighty legions, my mighty cohorts. At this point I believe the time for battle has arisen. And it's time to bring the sword to my enemy. My mighty warriors, they march tiredly up that hill, raising their shields to defend against the enemy arrow barrage. They are running up the hill, tiredly but happily, as they would do so, as they would do anything for their mighty general. They would die 1,000 times over for their mighty general. Okay, I'm charging at his troops up the hill now, but he doesn't have some of his phalanx unit into phalanx mode, like right there. He's got a pike unit right there, but they're not in phalanx mode. So he could have, my guys were already starting to waver right here, and if he had his pikes up, he could have made him rout, but he didn't, and so he's going to have a tougher time dealing with that unit. It's not going to rout so quickly. Now I've got my other units in the back of their forces. I'm starting to move them up, and I'm moving more of my units from the tree line over from my left flank up to reinforce those lines on that part of the hill. And I'm starting to charge with my other troops on the other side of the hill here. Some of his pikemen are in phalanx and some are not, and that is a mistake. I've got my two super secret ambush units here, my Praetorians and my Triarii, waiting to just slip into that hole once I have all his other units distracted. I'm starting to reinforce my lines here to make sure some of my guys don't run. He's got his general unit there waiting in the middle to deal with any gaps that may arise in his lines. I've still got some of my missile units peppering them while I send my general unit up further to bolster the morale of my men. And I start to try to shoot some of his general units with what missile units I have left. And at this point I use two of my cavalry units to try to charge into the slip I've made in the back. Try to knock out one of his units from the back. His Carian Axemen? Yes, Carian Axemen. Try to smash them from the back and just try to knock them out early and quick. And things are going well on that front of the battle. My cavalry, unfortunately right there, have been bogged down in a little infantry fight there, but we're starting to win that. Okay, here's a problem I've seen in a lot of online battles so far. It seems like a lot of these online players like to stretch their units out, the individual units, as long as they can stretch out, to try to stop flanking. This isn't Napoleon Total War. See, I'm smashing the back of his phalanx right there with the cavalry. This isn't Total War where you stretch your units out to far as they can so they can shoot all their guns. More people shoot more of their guns. I don't think this works. I don't think stretching your units out like that helps more. There's a lot of guys on the sides of those units that just aren't fighting. They routed one of my units right there. A lot of them aren't fighting, and it weakens the unit. The thicker the unit is, I think, from what I've seen, the better they are. The better they can perform for you. I think thicker units are better units. Wide units, it just weakens the whole unit. Many of the soldiers aren't fighting, and they're a lot easier to destroy and take out of formation. Alright, here's a mistake on my part. You see this legionary cavalry? Apparently I completely forgot all about these guys. I left them in the woods there, and my mind was on this battle so much. I just completely forgot about that cavalry unit. And they could have been very useful right here. I'm trying my best to knock out these guys. Their general unit is very strong. They're fighting a lot of my guys, killing a lot of my guys. I could have used that cav unit to hit him in the back. I'm sending my general unit back there to try to deal with his general unit, to try to help smash him, but he's lasting pretty long, and he's killing a lot of my legionaries. He's pretty good. Not good enough, but his bodyguard are doing what they do. He should have backed his general out of there. He shouldn't have used his general for that situation. But I understand why he did it. He was running low on troops in that point. But I've knocked out a couple of his troops on the right side there. The big reason, I think, because some of them were very stretched out, and they just weren't as powerful. At this point, I believe I tossed in my Praetorian Guard and my Triarii as the lucky smash, and I've got their units bogged down right over there, so they can't help with their general over on the other side. My Praetorian Guards are still dealing with these thinned out phalanxmen, which would have been more devastating. We would have probably been slaughtered if they were more thick. If they hadn't stretched out and thinned their lines out. As far as I can tell, thinning out your line does nothing for you. It just makes your unit weaker. And we're starting to rout his general units. We're starting to rout more of his units. And we're just starting to rout his whole army at this point. I notice now at this point, wow, he had a lot of missile units. I didn't figure in the beginning. He brought like 6 missile units. And which could have been a good strategy, but he didn't utilize them correctly, I think. I'm losing another unit, but he's lost almost all his units. The battle's going pretty well for me at this point. I don't think I have much worries more at this point. See some of my guys routing. Fucking cowards. We will find your families, you wretched cowards. Your families will learn the wrath of the Empire. So I'm just mopping up at this point. And as you can see, that cavalry unit back there, never used, forgot completely about him. And well, this was a good battle. This was an interesting battle. I had a lot of fun doing this one. I must say, I never expected to win this one. I never usually was very good against defending units when they're defending on a map like this, on a hill, with such a interesting map with hills and forests and all that. He had a lot of advantages. I would say my victory is based on the fault of both me and my opponent. We both made mistakes. We both made good choices. But overall, it was a very fun game. Another great online match. I want to thank anybody who stuck around. Leave me a like or a comment if you enjoyed what you saw. If you were entertained, I want to thank my opponent Dashboard Man for a nice match. I am your graphics rogue, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace out.